Hello YouTube friends, Dr. Teresa here again. It's always good to be with you. Thanks for joining me. You may notice that I do leave my comments set up where they have to be approved, and that's just because I've been having a problem with people posting inappropriate links. But please feel free to make comments or like my videos or follow if you're interested in my journey. I have some bittersweet news due to some flooding, and which led to electrical problems. Ultimately, I lost all the dwarf seahorses. I had 6 of them. I'm so sad about it and wasn't sure which direction to go. So at this time, I'm going to just move forward with the larger seahorses and see if things can work better. I've basically moved all of the hitching posts and artificial plants from the dwarf seahorse tank into a larger aquarium. I have a dish that I have weighted with rocks and was able to insert one of my fake plants into, and that's going to be the feeding station. I added another piece of coral to act as a hitching post. I've also upgraded with the canister filter that I had, so that it will be powerful enough to keep the aquarium clean for larger seahorses. And I've added back on my protein skimmer. So I'm really sad to have lost the others, but let's hope that things continue well, and I hope you are learning from my chronicle and my experiences. The next videos will be about the arrival of large seahorses. Well, the large seahorses have arrived, and part of the acclimation procedure from this producer of captive bred seahorses, these are captive bred, they require that the lights be out. So I am going to turn off the room lights, and I'm not going to turn off the aquarium lights because they're on a timer, but what I will do is I'll take the light and I'll move it to the side so it's not shining in the aquarium. So it's pretty dark, and for next I'll open up the box and do the next steps of acclimation. Okay, I've opened the top of the box. There's styrofoam inside. I think I can do this with one hand, pull the top off. It looks like we have some packing material here. Probably it was a cold pack. And there is the bag. Let me see if I can get that out with one hand. I need to use some leathers here, so excuse me a moment. Let's see. There they are. Oh, they are beautiful. Alright, so the next part of the acclimation procedure says to just put the bag in the aquarium and let the temperature balance, equalize for 30 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll check back in 30 minutes. Well, it's been 30 minutes. The room and the tank are still dark. I know it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but the next set of directions say to cut the bag open, use my bare hands, and release the seahorses directly into the aquarium. My understanding is the bag has been pumped with CO2, and so the drip method that most of us are used to using to acclimate fish will not be good in this case, because it will cause the ammonias to spike and the pH in the bag to drop. So it is best to just move the seahorses directly into the aquarium once the temperatures have leveled off. So that's what I'm going to do next.
Okay, well, unfortunately, a little bit of the bag water did go into the tank because the tank water is high. But the seahorses are in there. You can see them moving around a little bit now. They're not sure what to expect. They've traveled a long way. So this is quite a journey for them, and then being put into a completely new environment. We'll check back on them in a little while when I can start adding more light for you to see better and they've had a chance to calm down. Well, it's been about an hour and the seahorses are starting to settle in. Let me see if I can get this a little clearer for you. There we go. I have a little bit more light shining in the tank. I'm gradually releasing it. You can see them a little bit better. I have a male and a female. And they've just been hanging on. The male's moving a little bit. It's probably checking out the light that I just moved. When I first put them in, they were kind of squirming and thrashing about. I don't think they knew what was going on. But we'll check back with them in an hour. I'll add a little bit more light. And they seem like they're doing well so far. Okay, it's been about 2 hours. I've turned on more lights. I'll give it about 1 more hour and I'll move the seahorses into their full light. The male has been very active. The female's been pretty much staying in one spot. Oh, speaking of being active, the male's still really exploring. So we'll check back in on them in an hour.
Well, the tank is fully lit now. And they seem like they are hunting for food, so I may try feeding them in a little bit. I'll give them a little bit more time to settle in. It's been about 3 hours since I've released them into the tank, and they are acclimating very nicely. I will check back in at feeding time and see how they do.
Well, the female has been searching for food, so I decided to try to feed them.
I'm going to have to think about my feeding station idea because there's a lot of turbulence and obviously the shrimp is not staying in the feeding station. Maybe I just need to soak it a little bit longer so that it's not floating. So I'll have to experiment. But she has been snipping at food. Oh, she just did a little snatch. I don't know if you could even have heard it, but she's definitely eating. Meanwhile, the male, he's kind of curious, still settling in, but hasn't gone after any of the mysis shrimp yet. That's what I'm feeding them, is frozen mysis shrimp. That's what they've been trained to feed on. So we'll give him a little bit more time, but overall it looks like they've acclimated very well. And now I have to perfect my feeding practices for the larger seahorses. I look forward to showing you more with the larger seahorses as time goes on. Thanks for joining me, and I'm just going to leave the camera on until we can watch the female get one more snip at food. She's definitely looking around at all of her options. Let's see if she goes for one. Maybe she's not as hungry as I thought. I thought she would be snapping up a lot more food than that, but she probably is still acclimating. So we'll tune in another time when the seahorses are more settled in and I have had a chance to refine their feeding practice. Thanks for joining me and following me in this chronicle of my journey with trying to successfully raise seahorses.